For decades, Canada embraced globalization, thinking that it simply made more sense for other countries to manufacture things while we focused on resources, finance, and services. But now, with supply chain disruptions, rising geopolitical tensions, tariffs, and growing economic uncertainty, more people are starting to ask a difficult question. Did Canada give away too much of its manufacturing base? Our next guest believes that we did and decided to co-author a piece in the Globe and Mail last week. It's titled "This: Globalization Gutted Canada's Manufacturing. Here's How We Make Things Ourselves Again." Let's welcome Fen Osler Hampson, Chancellor's Professor over at Carleton University. Fen, let's talk about how we got here. Tell us, how did we end up with a Canada that couldn't make a lot of things?
Well, essentially what's happened is that it's become a lot cheaper over the years for other countries which have lower labor costs, lower production costs to make a lot of the manufactured goods that we consume. And we've seen that with rising imports from China, from Asia, from other low-cost producers. And in some ways, it's a problem we've stopped talking about. If you look at the manufacturing share of Canada's economy, it's been roughly halved since 2000, the beginning of this century, falling from close to 20% of our gross domestic product to about 9% today. And just by way of comparison, if you go back to the 1950s, it was 30% of our GDP. And, what I'm referring to there is manufacturing sector's direct share of the gross domestic product. And in a comparative terms, Canada now has the smallest manufacturing sector of all G7 countries.
Wow.
Interestingly, the United States has, faced the same problem, but what we're seeing there is modest growth in U.S. manufacturing capacity over the past several years, and it just didn't just begin with Trump's tariffs.
Mm-hmm.
It actually began after COVID, where some of that reshoring of supply chains began to take place. So we're an economy that is very much based on extraction still of our natural resources, no question about that. Agriculture is a really important sector, and it's not just the food that we grow, but food processing. That's a major and growing export sector. But we're not making as much as we once did.
Is it a fixable problem?
Well, I think it potentially is, because we're seeing sort of three important developments that may change the manufacturing equation, change the costs, particularly when it comes to the scale of production. One of those is, of course, robotics, which the use of industrial robotics has tripled in the past decade. 3D printing, that's another important innovation. But what may be the most important one is what are called physical AI platforms, which will change the costs of production, not just on the factory floor, but also what many people don't talk about, which is the very high costs of what we would call supervision of manufacturing.
Are you talking about like robots? Like, we've seen.
No. When I'm talking about AI, I'm talking about people, white collar workers who manage factories. These are the supervisors, the accountants, those who manage the logistics part of manufacturing. And they're a very important part of what we would call the wage bill of manufacturing. We typically tend to focus on the labor costs, but the white collar component, the supervisory costs, are roughly half the costs of labor on the factory floor. And if we're talking about the wage bill in Canada of white collar workers in manufacturing, it's about 16.5 billion. Roughly half of labor costs. So with AI, it will be possible to replace a lot of those workers because AI can replace the accountants. AI can potentially manage the logistical aspects of manufacturing.
Are you saying we're with Fen Osler Hampson? He's co-chair of the expert group on Canada-U.S. relations, talking about bringing manufacturing back to Canada. Are you saying that, AI can even the playing field here for Canada when it comes to manufacturing with other countries?
Exactly. But we'll need to do it with two other important technologies. So we're talking about the integration of AI when it comes to manufacturing with the use of robotics. And there it's important to recognize that machines do a lot of physical work now on the factory floor. When you're making a car, you don't have a lot of laborers on the assembly line as you once used to have. And with 3D printing, you can make complex parts in small batches. Close to home. You don't need massive tooling costs. And if you can integrate 3D printing with robotics, with AI, you can bring those costs
down.
And, for a small economy, these technologies, essentially favor what's called distributive small-scale production. So there is a potential opening here for Canada to make a lot more stuff at home.
But Fen, listen, I have to wrap up here, but what do you say to someone who says the manufacturing ship has sailed? I've spoken to economists on this program who have told me the manufacturing ship has sailed for Canada. We need to double, triple, quadruple down on natural resources. That's the salvation of our economy, not manufacturing. What do you say to that?
What I say to that is, let's not be myopic. The ship on manufacturing can sail back. It's already sailing back, actually. In key sectors in the United States, you're beginning to see, for example, 3D printing when it comes to making drones. I think we need to have some peripheral vision here. I would agree that the resource sector is absolutely critical. We can sell a lot more to the rest of the world, but we can also make a lot of things that we currently import from Asia, from the United States for that matter. As we move to a tariff world, the costs of things is going to go up. And so with new technologies, we can drive those costs down and create goods that are tailor-made for Canadian tastes and the Canadian market.
Fen, I have to leave it there. Pleasure talking to you. Thanks so much for coming on.
My pleasure.
That's Fen Osler Hampson, and you can go seek out his piece in the Globe and Mail, co-wrote it. It's called Globalization Gutted Canada's Manufacturing. Here's how we make things ourselves again.
Hello, Canada.
This is Bryan Adams Radio. Hosted by Bryan Adams himself.
We'll play a few of mine, a ton of my favorites, and some must-hear behind-the-scenes stories from the world of rock and roll.
We're coming to get you!
One thing about doing rock and roll so long is you end up meeting a lot of the people that you admire. Sometimes you even get to work with them.
It's only love, and that's all.
Bryan Adams Radio.
I'm coming back to you.
Now available on the free iHeartRadio app.
Everybody, how are you tonight? Sounds